All right, man. We live with another show. It's your boy CFB Season. I'm the host of this college football Saturday morning game day talk show. We run this every Saturday morning, 7 a.m. Central Time. Um, it's a little pregame hype show that we do. We talk about all the big games of the week. I got some good co-hosts that's gonna hop on the show with me. Um, Man, we got a huge one today with Alabama and Georgia, top five premier college football game of the day. Where College Game Day's at. It's gonna be a really fun one to talk about. We got some really big Big 12 games to talk about today. Overall, the slate's gonna be. I feel like the slate's pretty interesting, and it's gonna be a good slate today. So can't wait to have a great show today. As always, the first thing I like doing is hopping into my Heisman talk. I'm gonna pull that up. Yo, 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 what's going on, Bus?
How we
What
doing,
you
man?
hitting, dog?
Fucking ready for today. Fucking
Hey,
ready
bro,
for the day.
hey, man, smash one right now, dog.
Bro,
Never too early. You
I
can't
got
drink all day.
the
You're gonna
fridge.
start now, my dog.
I got the fridge stock today.
All right, well, yeah, what you said,
Ready.
what you hitting on today? What you hitting?
Yeah, I got Miller's today. Usually I do that in Iowa. Bush Light is usually the thing, but I wasn't feeling that today.
Yeah,
But yeah, we'll take those down for sure.
man.
What do you got lined up? Is LSU home tonight?
LSU's home tonight, my dog.
Home. All right. So you already got you already got yours ready to go.
Yeah,
The Death Valley Marg.
them Death Valley and the daiquiris, bro. Them daiquiris be hitting.
That
All right, so I got my Heisman pulled up right here. Man, I got Travis Hunter number one right now because he's a two-way player. You have to respect what he's doing on both sides of the ball. Um, the last person to win a Heisman that was a two-way player was Woodson in '97. So it's been a very and he was the only player in the history of college football that played significant time on both sides to do it. So hopefully history can repeat itself here. That would be really good to see a two-way player win the Heisman. But I mean, he's going to have to hold off some key contenders in my eyes. You know, Cam Ward looked pretty swaggy last night again. He had a game-winning touchdown. Uh, Jalen Milroe's just been really, really freaking efficient. You know, Jalen Milroe only got 52 passing attempts on the year right now.
yeah.
He only got 52
Yep.
passing attempts. He has two rushing touchdowns in each game, and he has at least two passing touchdowns in each game. He has 8 total touchdowns passing on the year, no picks, two rushing touchdowns in each game, so that's six. Jalen Milroe's been really, really efficient. Today's going to be a great opportunity for him on national spotlight against, big time Georgia. Ashton Jennings, he had 9 touchdowns in the first two games. He didn't get a touchdown last week. He's currently at 586 yards and 9 touchdowns on the season. He has a great opportunity to go off today against Washington State. Bro, Washington State's defense is terrible.
Yeah. They
I think
struggled.
yeah, Washington. He's gonna have a great chance to pop off again today, and then obviously Jackson Dart, the number one offense in FBS. Just he hasn't played anybody, so that's why I got him at five. But yeah, that's how my Heisman's looking right now.
Yeah, looking at your list, I probably put Nico over Jackson just because Jackson
Cause
the old hasn't played anybody, but yeah, that's about
yeah,
the only thing I would probably even consider flipping. But yeah,
yeah.
everything else looks good.
Ole Miss is averaging 670 yards a game right now, and they the number one scoring offense. They actually got the number one scoring defense too. But like you just said though,
Yeah, we'll see what they got. If they hit that LSU, Oklahoma, Arkansas, shit, Georgia stretch. Well, we'll find out pretty quick.
yeah. Some people are saying I had seen some people. What's up, Boo? Let's bring you into the show. I had seen some people were talking about today against Kentucky might be a little wake up call for them. I don't know. I don't see it, but what you think about this looking the first time actually playing someone maybe with a pulse? You know, Kentucky got stumped by South Carolina, but they still in
Yeah,
SEC. it's still an SEC school, but I don't see
Yeah.
no. I don't think they're gonna have too many issues with Kentucky. But what you think about those people saying that this might be a little, wake up call slightly?
I don't buy it. I think Ole Miss. If it was at Kentucky, maybe it might
Mhm.
be a little bit different, but no shot. Home
Right.
game, like people that are like that say, this is their first big game. This is going to be a real test for them. They hear that too, and you know how Lane is with how he gets everybody ready to go, and he's going to test his team too. Like he's using that as, hey, they don't believe in you. Let's
Here's an
fucking
interesting.
go up. Let's
This
put
is
80
very.
up.
This is very interesting though. Hey, Kentucky's sitting at 6 right now in total defense. I did not realize that. Holy cow!
Yeah, I think some of that too is kind of how they manage the game. I know they like to run the ball a lot.
So they burned
And
the clock, and I know. Yeah.
yeah, they're a lot like how Texas A&M was under Jimbo, where
That's
they always had these top 15 defenses, but it's because they're only
yeah.
having they're only facing 50 plays a game.
Yeah. So they only faced 186 plays on the year. They had given up only 217 yards per game, but Ole Miss is averaging 670 per game. I think what's a respectable hold if they could give Ole Miss today?
Points or score?
Uh, let's go points and yards.
Okay. Points, I think if they can hold, gosh, if they can hold Ole Miss under 35, like
All right.
I don't see this one being close at all.
Yeah.
If they can, I still see Ole Miss putting up 40, 50. Yeah.
And then what about yards? What about yards? About
Yards
450.
is it? Yeah. 450. Yeah. I don't know. Whatever anyone else is saying, I don't see it.
What's going on, Boot?
What's up, y'all? Okay. Hi. Sorry, I got
Special guest.
yeah, we got a special guest. Our guest picker is pooping and hollering over here. She's excited for the day. She's ready for game day.
There we go.
I need a hat.
Man, Texas is a 37.5 favorite over Mississippi State, though.
Well, I was gonna say real quick. That's gonna be. Dude, I don't even know what to say about that game.
These college football bettors, man, so disrespectful. So disrespectful.
The only thing I'll say about that one is my model's got it Texas at 28.3. Honestly, I mean, I think it's an under. I think the model just doesn't understand the teams yet. I think it's gonna be pretty bad. I think it's gonna be a bad one. I don't know what Mississippi State can do to slow them down. I mean, I mean, every facet of the game is in a large favor to Texas. I mean, early downs, rushing, passing, and then on the flip side, the defense. I mean, our turnovers. Like the highest I've ever seen my little model predict on a turnover is 15% of possessions being a turnover, and it's like if you're playing an FCS opponent. This one's got 14% for Mississippi State. I mean, everything the model can do. The points is the only thing not like being an excessive blowout. Everything else in terms of all the other stats are just not even close in this one.
It's Mississippi State and FCS school. That's the next question we have to ask.
That's the
question. Man, you hyped up, Boot, or what? Man, we got a big day today.
Oh man, we got great games. I'm excited. I mean, we got Miss Terry as the guest picker on game day. You have to throw that on later.
Right.
I mean, you can't miss that.
No, shit. Miss Terry. She's gonna be hitting them with some X's and O's or what, bro?
That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing she's got some X's and O's laid out. I'm hearing, hearing good stuff.
She's gonna be a good one. I've seen interviews with her, and I was always impressed with her.
Yeah, she seems like a great person.
Mm-hmm. Miss Terry.
Okay, wait, real quick, y'all were talking about Ole Miss, Kentucky. Man, this is also a weird one where, like, it really likes, like my model really likes Ole Miss passing, of course, and it likes that passing attack to increase their yards per play in general. Kentucky's passing not to be too great. But basically, it likes them to both kind of be average running the ball. Ole Miss a little more than average, but it likes, like kind of like we were talking about Kentucky. It likes Kentucky to get in there and cause some negative plays. It's only given Ole Miss 5 points. I think that one's a little low too. I think ultimately, I think the model's just a little off on both of those teams. It's got Ole Miss as the 10th best team, Kentucky as the 18th best team. And then when you sit there and say, okay, well, Kentucky's a defensive team, it helps close that gap even a little bit more. But so I think the model's just a little slow reacting this early in the season still. That's probably something I need to fix. But so I think it thinks Kentucky's better than they are. I don't know that they're the 18th best team. They might be 25th best team or something. And that'd probably be another touchdown or two difference there.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts on it. I don't see this one being the only thing would be if they keep the game slow. But even then, I mean, if Ole Miss comes out and scores on their first 2 possessions, you can't play a 6-possession game if you're already down 2 possessions.
Yeah. Yep. So you want to recap anything from last night?
Oh man.
How about that game last night?
That wasn't a catch, right?
Right.
It was on the guy's knee or on the guy's leg the whole time. It's not a catch.
You can't make that call too as a ref, in my opinion.
Yeah. That's no touchdown until it's a touchdown.
Right. That's how you gotta do that. And it was like they were looking at the POW. 15, 20 seconds late. Miami has the ball with it. It's like, damn, bro, then you're gonna make that call.
Right. And then they came back. And then they came back on, and they're like, "It's touchdown," and everyone's like, "Oh, game's over." Like, "Oh, we're reviewing it now."
Oh, the announcer was like pissing me off a little bit too. Oh, you can't overturn that call. You can't overturn that call.
And then you've got Washington out here wasting, I don't know how many points you want to count it as, but somewhere in the range of 10+ points wasted.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Did Swag Lord have a Heisman moment last night, or what? You seen that little
a little shovel pass?
Yeah.
But crazy. Washington comes out and wastes 10+ points in a game that only had 30-something points, or like 31 points, whatever it was, total points in the game. I mean,
I think that was one thing too that I looked at with with the Virginia Tech game, not kicking the field goal. After you had a kicker who just kicked 2 50-yarders in the first half, and then you come down to that. If you kick that field goal, now all you need is a field goal. You don't need to leave it up to the Hail Mary. You kick a field goal with your kicker who's kicked the shit out of the ball today, and you probably leave with a win. I know Mick is such a big component on just taking points when you have them, especially when you're road underdogs.
And I think in a game too where, I mean, realistically, well, I don't know. I mean, Virginia Tech put up a lot of points. I just realistically, just a game where when you're playing an offense like Miami, I think you got to take the points. Like, like when you have that opportunity. Well, okay, no, rewind. No, you take the points because you're already up 10, and the points put you up 13. That's why you take the points,
right?
In this scenario, that's what I think.
It changes the whole game flow in the game script when you take points. But then I could also make an argument that Miami would have ended up going for 2 and shit. But that changes the whole game script too.
Right. It's kind of a devil's advocate because if they get that and then they end up scoring, I mean, I don't think Miami
they're going to win the game.
Lays. Yeah, I don't think Miami lays over and gives up. But
if Virginia goes to 17 there, they win the game. But I feel much better with them at 13 than at 10.
Right.
Knowing that Miami can score on every given possession.
Yeah. Well, that's probably what they were thinking. They were probably thinking a field goal wasn't going to cut it if Miami was going to score on every possession. Like they probably thought that they needed 6.
I mean, I could see the argument there too, saying, look, we're already at 2 possessions at 10 points. 13 points keeps us at 2 possessions. So if we know Miami's going to score touchdowns and not kick field goals,
right?
What's the difference? But
how about Rutgers head coach? Man, that's an impressive job.
Greg.
Oh, Greg.
Greg. I'm glad they've given him time to.
That's a tough place. That's a really, really tough place, bro. Rutgers. Who wants to go play in New Jersey, man? Like, you know how tough that's a. I remember like a couple years back, I thought that was the toughest job in college football. I think UMass might be the toughest job in football right now, but
yeah,
man, dude, the job.
Rutgers is definitely up there as one of the toughest. I mean, just also to take a school like Rutgers and realize you have to go play against Ohio State and Michigan and these kind of schools. I mean, it's just doesn't seem feasible. And he's doing a good job with it so far. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to go beat Ohio State or anything like that, but he's turning it into a respectable program.
Also, they'll beat Ohio State.
This is the second time he's doing it too. Second stint at Rutgers. So like that's really impressive what he's doing, man. So shout out to old Greg at Rutgers.
Yeah, Bus, we're logging that as your official prediction.
So we had some pretty big college football news break this week with the UNLV quarterback. Did y'all see that? Man, I think we should talk about that. His name is Matthew Slucker. So he was apparently guaranteed $100,000, and UNLV was not fulfilling their end of the bargain. So he decided to, basically quit. That was a huge storyline. This is the first. I don't know if this is the first time, but like NIL is really impacting college football right now. I think we got some big talking points with this situation right here.
I think the notable thing with this is that it's probably one of the first times. Or no, I won't say first. Well, okay, yeah, it's probably one of the first times that we've had a current player, like talk about NIL as a decision for doing something. Because a lot of times they'll say, "Oh, it's." I mean, and I'm not saying they're lying, but a lot of players will say like, "Oh, I transferred to this school because of the coaches," and everyone's like, "Well, no, it's because of NIL." Well, NIL might have played a role, but I think that it's possible the coaching did play a role too. This one, he clearly flat out stated, "Look, this is happening because of NIL. I was promised this, I didn't get this." The only other comparable things that quarterback over at Florida, suing Billy Napier or whatever the deal with that is, but he wasn't even he wasn't an active player at the time. He was a recruit, or maybe he was just starting. Whatever the deal was, I don't remember all the details on that one. But I think it's just the first time we're seeing an active player do it.
It's all about how humble you are. I could see arguments both ways. I mean, if you guaranteed something and you're not getting your part of the bargain, I could see why a person would be like, you know what, man, screw this. But also, you got a team. You're 3-0 in the season. You're undefeated. Like, I don't know. I see both parts of it. To me, I'm all about the purity of the sport. Bus, what you thinking in this situation?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I see both sides of it. I feel for the kid a little bit. At the same time, though, if you don't have that shit in writing, you're not promised a damn thing. So I think that's
the whole pay for play answer.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good lesson for him, kind of in that kind of realm of everything. But yeah, it's tough. You're never gonna hear both sides of it. But yeah, that's kind of all I got with it.
Speaking on, and then another storyline.
Well, I was gonna say real quick on that. I think you mentioned on the purity of the sport, and I think there are people that are gonna complain about, well, I mean, he was promised this money and like things like that and all this stuff. And I think I guess maybe the way that probably what we're thinking and what we believe, and I think that a lot of people believe, and like when you talk to I would even say like Nick Saban, because I know he's talked about it so good. But I think our perspective on it, for at least certain things in mine, is I don't like when off-field things impact the on-field product, and that's what's happening here, where you're I don't like, in a certain extent, it doesn't matter if a quarterback's getting paid $100 million or $100,000 or not. Like, whether NIL is a thing. Like, at the end of the day, the quarterback comes out on the field and plays, and you watch a football game. But now this is impacting the on-field product. It's changing who's on the field, more than just, the guy transferred or this recruit went here because of money. Like, at the end of the day, it's recruiting. That's what happens. Now a guy's leaving mid season on a team that's potentially playoff bound, Now, counterpoint, the little backup quarterback, FCS transfer from the Campbell Camels. Dude's kind of a pro-style quarterback, but he can run too. He's a pretty good quarterback. I think the question will be on the receivers to see what UNLV can do because, they've relied on the run game so far. Parker Fleming, Stats Award, posted, I think if I remember correctly, they're like 4th or 7th in rush rate over expected in the country. So they rely heavy on the run game. And we'll see what happens.
Man, another storyline that hit this week was Bear Alexander, the defensive lineman from USC. Did y'all see that? How he's transferring? I want to ask y'all a question. With the NIL day of age, and how y'all feel about the loyalty of players? As a coach, obviously he's a great player. Like, you probably want him, but do you want him? You know, like, do you want a player that's been bouncing around and trying to just play for money and not too loyal to a coach? Like, how y'all feel about that? I want to bring that up, man. That's a talking point. Bear Alexander hit the portal. How y'all feel about that?
Is there so this is his second time transferring or hitting the portal, I guess. Is he just not what he was supposed to be? Is that part of the answer? How much of that do y'all think is part of the answer?
I think it,
like, he's just not as good of a player as he was supposed to be, and
you could make an argument about that. I make an argument about that with the 7th-year quarterbacks, how they've been bouncing around all the time and they can't hold on to a starting role. I make an argument that, you're not good enough that's why you're transferring. But then I also think about the integrity and the character part of it and your loyalty and stuff as well. But yeah. That was
I think they said in high school too that he transferred all 4 years there too. So like this is like his 7th school in 8 years.
So as a coach, would you take him?
Hell no.
Right?
Nah, shot in hell. I wouldn't even fucking recruit him. How do you talk to any of his high school coaches? that in itself is a chore, right?
Yeah, man. You only had him for 6 months.
Yeah.
I remember even before NIL, just like when the portal stuff really started, and like with the grad, or even like right when it was getting started. So first you had like the grad transfer thing, and then you kind of started with the portal a little bit. I remember coaches talking about, and I think Saban was one of them, talking about how guys that transfer, you just don't develop. They stay stagnant, and that's what happened. Like he might come in as the best, player at his position in the country. He's a 5-star recruiter or whatever, but then he never becomes an NFL talent because he can't improve and progress.
Yeah. So looking at today, man, we got 3 big Big 12 games, bro. 3 huge Big 12 games. We got Oklahoma State at Kansas State. We got Colorado at UCF. And then we got BYU at Baylor. Man, those are 3 big 12 games. Let's talk about this Big 12 slate real quick. Man, the first one we could talk about is Oklahoma State at Kansas State. It's a ranked matchup. To me, this is the battle of the unpredictables. This is going to be the battle of who could clean up the film, man. Oklahoma State's offense is still struggling. Kansas State got stomped by BYU last week. Man, what about this little matchup right here? Oklahoma State at Kansas State.
Yeah, I think you touched on it pretty good. I think it's hilarious. It's 11 or an early kick as well.
Yep, 11 a.m. kick.
Just add to the chaos. The 2 quarterback matchup, Bowman and Johnson. That's gonna be a lot of fun to watch. But yeah, this one. Yeah, you pretty much covered it. It's going to be the game of unpredictables. They both.
Yeah, it's going to come down to coaching, I think.
Oh yeah,
and I think that's where I think that adds to the unpredictability.
Right.
I think both of these teams have just, even the last couple of years. I mean, especially with Oklahoma State, it's all over the place. In terms of, like one game they look like a top 10 team, and the next game they're losing to South Alabama. Like
And then
I think it's going to be a wild game. I think it's really hard to predict what's going to happen in this one.
it's so hard to predict. And then Kansas State didn't they didn't look too good last week against BYU. BYU is actually a pretty respectable program right now. Yeah, that one's going to be a weird one. Who's y'all lean on this one?
I want to say Kansas State, but I feel like Oklahoma State's more unpredictable. I don't know. I said it before. Gundy will, from week to week. I think he's one of the most unpredictable coaches in the country.
Yeah,
so I'd want to say right. I'd want to say Kansas State, but I would lean more Oklahoma State.
Gotcha. What about you, Boot?
Man, the model likes Kansas State. What it doesn't like is Oklahoma State's ability to pass the ball. And, I mean, it's hard to disagree with that. But also, I don't know that, man, it really likes Kansas State to be able to move the ball. And I just don't know that they're going to actually move it as well as they looked in that Arizona game, because I think that's kind of what it's basing a lot of this off of. So I'm going to – the model says Kansas State 6.8. I would do Kansas State like 1. I mean, I think it's a toss-up game. I think it's going to come down to something weird happening. It's going to come down to, some coach deciding to go for it on 4th down in like the second quarter. It's not gonna be like a last-second Hail Mary kind of weird game. It's going to be if we wouldn't have gone for it on 4th down in the second quarter, we could have kicked a field goal and, something like that. So I'm going to lean Kansas State. Mostly because I think both teams are unpredictable, but I think Oklahoma State's a little more unpredictable. And if one or two things go wrong, Kansas State will take this one.
Okay. The next one, BYU at Baylor. BYU is undefeated on the season. Baylor coming off a tough loss against Colorado. It's at Baylor. This one's this is a big-time Big 12 game, especially for BYU. How y'all feeling about this BYU at Baylor matchup?
Yeah, I think for the loser of this game, it's going to be a big hit on them. BYU, obviously, nobody talked about them preseason to contend for Big 12. They won that game against Kansas State, and now, that's kind of become a realization that, hey, maybe they could be in that talk. So they lose. They're done with that. Baylor, they're 2-2 already, 0-1 in conference. They lose this one, and I hate to say it, but I think Aranda, I feel like this game, he loses the team if they lose this game. And I think it could go downhill pretty quick. They travel to Ames next weekend and then a bye. So they lose Colorado last week on a heartbreak, BYU this week, and then Iowa State going into a bye. I don't think your team is all there.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that's just kind of where you lose it. The end of their schedule is pretty favorable, but I think once you lose the team, you're done.
And Dave Aranda, he's a great defense coordinator. He don't strike me as a great head coach, and he's proven that so far. He had that one great year where he had some success, but it seems like the players ain't too hyped up for him. He's a very laid back personality. But he's definitely a great defensive coordinator, though. He's proven that. But my lean right here is BYU. My lean is BYU in this matchup. I like what BYU is doing. They've proven to me that they can win a close game, and they kind of proven to me that they can maybe score with some of them. But the only way that Baylor wins is if they play for their coach right here. And I'm not too sure if I can buy it. It's at Baylor, but the fans going to be showing up too much in this one. Yeah, I'm gonna take BYU to stay undefeated in this one.
I'm gonna go Baylor to get the upset here. I think that I mean, really, once again, this is a real close one. So the model's got Baylor by 2.8 points. Baylor's the 63rd best team, and BYU's the 69th best team. So I mean, real close, home field advantage kind of a thing. BYU leans heavy on their defense and kind of goes as their defense goes.
Yeah.
I think the question is, can Baylor outperform that defense? I don't think this will be a game where you're going to have to necessarily say, like, BYU is not going to have to come out and lean on their offense. A team that's leaned on their defense so far. I think they'll keep this one lower scoring game. Really, I think this thing comes down to field position. Another thing BYU leans on is getting teams to third downs quick. Like that, limiting what they can do on early downs, limiting getting those first downs early. So I think that'll be the real breaker, because I think one thing, like when I look at my model, it likes Baylor really to win by a field goal because they kicked a field goal. Like they have a higher field goal chance in this game. So I think field position, and so I think the question will be, what BYU lets Baylor do on those early downs? So they let them move the ball, or do they get them off the field quick? They got to create some 3 and outs.
Baylor's favored in this matchup, so I don't know if it'll be an upset.
Okay, well, maybe not an upset then.
Yeah,
but I'm going with. I guess I'm going with Vegas. Now I'm going with Baylor.
Yeah.
What's the spread?
3. I still think BYU's up for it though.
I think BYU's got potential to win. I think they've clearly shown they're a team that knows how to win a game.
So that's 11. That's another 11 a.m. kick for the Big 12. And then the third one I wanted to talk about was Colorado UCF. Colorado still getting really disrespected. Colorado still can't find no run game, but they do have Travis Hunter. They still got Shedeur Sanders. They still got some big time players. They still getting disrespected. UCF's a 14-point favorite here at the Bounce House.
Damn.
Yeah.
And that jump too. That opened at 12. Damn.
How we feeling about this one?
I don't think Colorado's defense stops UCF. I think KJ Jefferson's got a little too much. UCF's defense is really good at third down stops.
How's KJ doing this year?
He's got 5 touchdown passes. He hasn't thrown a whole lot. 5 touchdown passes, just 563 yards. Yeah, I'd say pretty average, but he has a lot around him that he doesn't have to be spectacular.
I think he's going to have to throw in this one. I think Colorado scores. I think he's going to have to throw. Well, that's just my initial reaction. Shedeur Sanders is going to he could toss it around out there.
I'll be curious to see what Colorado can do offensively. I think like I said, I think UCF's defense is really good, but I think this will be a good test to actually see what that looks like, and I think that's where the early part of this season, like weeks 4, 5, and 6, get real fun, because you're really getting to like test some theories. Like, okay, I think UCF's defense is good. Let's see, things like that.
So Colorado's defense concerns me, and their lack of rushing attack definitely concerns me. UCF's a 14-point favorite at home. Man, I'm pulling for Colorado here. I'm a roll the dice, and I'm a pick Colorado for an upset here. Fuck it. Hey, scary money. Scary money
don't be the craziest thing that's happened.
Yeah. Yeah. So those were the Big 12 matchups I wanted to talk about. Let's see. Man, I got some buddies at Alabama right now for the big game, man.
That'd be a big one. I was wanting to go down, but I can't. I can't justify paying over $300 for a regular season ticket.
Man,
prices were steep.
Kirby Smart's 1-5 versus Alabama. Kirby Smart's only win was in the national championship after a few big injuries in that game, though.
Yeah, I wish we had Chris on here so he could give us a breakdown of his Georgia.
This would have been a fun one to have Chris on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, what game are we doing next? Or what are we talking about next? Are we diving we just talked about the Big 12. What are they?
Yeah, what you want to jump into next, Chris?
Let's see. Okay, I'm trying to find games that we're not picking.
I got one for y'all. Arkansas and A&M at the neutral site Jerry World. This game has been a fun one. It's always been really close too. They always battling it out. But however, I think A&M won like 9 out of the last 10 or something. But I will say this: Arkansas's offense is the best offense Arkansas had. I like Taylor Green. They explosive, they fast. I think Arkansas has their best chance probably. I think this is Sam Pittman's best team. I know he had that great year in 2020, the COVID year, or maybe the 2021 year, but I think this is Pittman's probably best team he had yet.
Yeah, I think the thing with Arkansas is I think the question will be. So I think A&M's defense is really good. I think A&M's defense is really good. So I think the question is, or the concern for Arkansas is what happened with the Oklahoma State game, where every play is a big play. It's either a 20-yard pass, a 20-yard run, or a sack, or a fumble. Like it's extreme ends of the spectrum, and I think that's just how Arkansas plays football. I think that could very much be the case in this game. So my model really likes A&M to slow Arkansas down. It likes A&M by 11.5. I think Arkansas couldn't score more than the model thinks it does. So the question will be if they can stop, or the question will be if A&M can do anything on offense to keep the pace up. I think this game ends up being closer, but I'm still going with A&M. I don't know that. I don't think it's an 11-point game. What would you say the spread was?
The spread. 1 second, I just had it. I'll get it for you.
I get 5.5.
Okay, I think that feels more right because I think Arkansas will make some plays when they need to, at least early in this game. A&M might shift some things up in the second half. I think this could be a game where like Arkansas is up like 10-7 at halftime, and then A&M kind of comes back and ends up being a 7-point game or something like that. A&M wins something.
Arkansas is gonna have to play clean, no turnovers here.
I don't know that that's in Arkansas's playbook. I don't.
That's in that extreme spectrums you're talking about again there.
Yeah, I was gonna say like honestly, the turnover margin's a little lower than I thought it'd be, but it's the negative plays. I mean, it's just I think A&M is going to create negative plays and cause some chaos, and Arkansas might cause a little chaos of their own. But
yeah, I think it'll be a good game to get a feel for A&M. I know we've seen them with Notre Dame in Florida.
How's A&M's rush defense? Let's see. What's another big game or another little low key game y'all looking at?
I was gonna say I've got A&M's rush defense pretty good.
Yeah. How was it?
Yeah, like I've got them as the 15th best team, but they lean on their defense, so their defense is a little better than that, and then they're pretty balanced. Pretty much balanced, passing and rushing wise. So at least like effectiveness wise, I've got them probably a top 15-20 defense, rush defense.
I'm gonna take A&M in this one. I will make an argument that Arkansas might be more hungry here, but that kind of concerns me a little bit. If Arkansas is more hungry and they come out with more will, but man, if they can't run the ball, that's gonna be tough.
I'll say there's a potential. Well, I really for both teams, I think there's a potential that both of these teams, but maybe even more so Arkansas because they are a little more chaotic, really grow as this season goes on. So I think there's a good chance that the Arkansas we see today is not the Arkansas we saw against Oklahoma State, and it's not going to be the Arkansas we see 2-3 weeks from now. I think I think there's a threat that Arkansas does more than what we've seen.
I'm not high on A&M like others are. I don't even have them ranked. It would not surprise me at all if Arkansas would upset them. Any other little key estimates?
Yeah, a couple other ones. North Carolina at Duke. Obviously, I have North Carolina with whatever the hell happened last week. See if they can bounce back.
That's an ugly matchup, bro.
Yeah, that's probably on your do not watch list.
I ain't watching that one, Cap.
Other ones, I guess Ohio State, Michigan State. I think it's Ohio State's first game where they're playing someone with the pulse.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure Michigan State's undefeated too.
But they haven't
lost
looked
to Boston College last week. Never mind.
Yeah.
I
I
think.
mean,
Sorry.
they might start off a little sluggish normally with these types of games, these Big Ten games. But give me Ohio State to. I mean, they got the better time. I think they're going to figure it.
I think SMU Florida State is one to put on. Like if you got multiple screens tonight, I think it'd just be an interesting game.
How about LSU's defenses versus South Alabama's offense tonight, dog? What? That's gonna be fun.
I think that'll be very interesting.
Dog. What? Huh?
Yeah, I just think it'll be interesting to see if LSU can make the plays to make the stops defensively. I think ultimately
Gary Nussmeier's cooking, bro. He's heating up, man.
If you call the right plays and everything, I don't see a reason LSU's receivers aren't three guys over 100 yards. If they're calling the right plays. But I have mixed feelings on LSU's play calling. I feel like it's a little passing wide, it's a little conservative sometimes. I don't know if that's on Nussmeier not seeing defenders downfield or if he just feels more comfortable throwing the 7-yard pass over the 15-yard pass.
Mm-hmm.
Which seems crazy because like in the bowl game last year, I mean, I don't know that he threw a pass under 20 yards.
I know, yeah, that's always been a knock on him though. So I'm actually glad to see him taking more conservative steps. He's always been a little bit too pushed down. He was always pushed down the field too trigger happy in my opinion. So I'm glad to see him playing a little bit smarter here and there.
Yeah. I think the problem, and we'll see it more as LSU starts diving into bigger games like the Ole Miss game and things like that. But I think LSU's way too that they have no explosiveness or very limited explosiveness, and it holds them back. They end up in these third down situations on every drive, and they can't convert.
All right, let's jump into our big game picks. All right, first one we got Louisville at Notre Dame. Here's something surprising. Notre Dame's a 7-point favorite in this. Yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying? I guess that checked.
Yeah, Louisville at Notre Dame, bro.
I wouldn't overreact to their loss to Northern Illinois. I think it's one game. What I would overreact to is can Notre Dame pass the ball? Like, is that an option? Do they have plays for that, or are they just did they just take it? Did they actually Army's playbook on the way to the way to the stadium or something?
No, I'm taking Louisville in this one, dog. Louisville is just way too much speed, way too much dangerous. I know Notre Dame's got a really respectful defense, but man, that offense, if they fall behind early, this thing's over with.
I know Louisville gets one of their stud receivers back, I believe, but not to discount what the other guys there have already done. I don't know that it's going to make a huge difference. Can Louisville? Well, okay. So on the note of can Notre Dame pass, can Louisville stop Notre Dame from running the ball? I think that's the question because it's very possible Notre Dame's
going to have some pops here or there probably, but that won't be enough. I don't think that won't be enough. I like Tyler Shaw. I like Chris Bell. I like Ja'Cory Brooks. Too much speed. I think Louisville is just too dangerous for Notre Dame. Notre Dame's just too handicapped by their pass offense.
Let's see. I guess
so you can go, but
I was just gonna say Louisville relies heavily on getting third down stops, so I think that'll be a big part of it. And I mean, honestly, that's something that if Notre Dame can't throw the ball, then that could definitely be a game changer. So I think thing to watch, pay attention to. I'll say pay attention to Notre Dame's third and distance. Just see what that distance is. If it's third and short and they can run the ball, Notre Dame's going to be fine. If they end up in a bunch of 3rd and 8s and things like that, then this game's going Louisville's direction.
Yeah, I'm going Louisville in this one too. Kind of like you're saying, season. I really like the weapons that they have on offense. And Notre Dame is just one of those teams you don't know. They're another one of those teams you don't know you're getting every week. I'm definitely not overreacting to the NIU loss. But I mean, last week against Miami, Ohio, they didn't look very good.
Yeah, it's been the same story for Notre Dame. They haven't they're not making much improvements.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna take Louisville on that one.
I'll say I don't know if y'all wrote down a pick, but my pick's Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
One Notre Dame in this one.
All right. Let's see. Next one, TCU at Kansas. Kansas is a 2-point favorite. So Kansas has been struggling. Both teams are kind of struggling a little bit. TCU definitely struggling defensively. Kansas is struggling to finish games off. Kansas have blown 3 fourth-quarter leads the last 3 games. I'm picking Kansas in this one. I think they finally get over the hump here and finish a game out. I don't like this matchup at all on paper. This is a tough one kind of in my eyes, but I'm a rabbit Kansas in this one. I'm curious to see what y'all got in this one.
Man, I think this one. I think this one's a toss-up. I think Kansas is kind of a wild card here. Really, the gap that I see is the ability for both teams to run the ball and the defense to stop them. I think Kansas is going to be able to run the ball. I think TCU is not. I think everything else is pretty much equal. And that just includes part of it will just come down to style of play in this game and right play calling. I think you just have to call it right time. I think this one's a toss-up. I think I'm gonna go TCU in this one though because, man, I'm just not convinced on Kansas' ability to end games, to win games. Yeah, but it's also you got to think they got to start winning at some point. So I don't know, but I'm on TCU.
I would argue, they probably a little bit more battle tested Kansas, even though they haven't been finishing. So I'm gonna lean that direction.
I'm gonna go TCU in this one, just solely based on their ability to score. They put up 34, 45, 34, 42. So I think that if they can get it into a shootout type of game, I'm liking TCU in that one.
I want to say Georgia. My bad.
Yeah, we can say that. But I was just looking through. I was watching TCU the other week, and I saw they had Jack back. I'm like, how does that name sound so familiar? I was like, LSU, yeah. It's like, fuck.
He's been playing great.
I forgot about that.
I have him. I forget where exactly, but he's up there near the top on my most impactful receivers list.
He's he's
the one to watch in this game if you want a player to keep an eye on.
I want to save Georgia Bama last, or y'all want to jump in that one next?
We'll save that one.
All right, we good. We finished. We good on TCU Kansas.
Yep.
All right, we got Illinois, Penn State. Man, this one here, bro. Illinois has they've been finding ways to win week in and week out. I picked against Illinois early again with the Nebraska game early in the year, and they surprised me with that win. This one's kind of tough a little bit. I think Illinois is going to play them tough. It's at Penn State, which is probably the deciding factor for me here. I'm going to take Penn State at home. But, man, Illinois is just – man, they're on the back of my head. They've been kind of proving me wrong a little bit. So I'm hoping they don't bite me on this one. But, man, give me Penn State in this matchup. And how y'all feeling about this one?
Yeah, this is like the most uneasy, 3-touchdown favorite pick to ever have.
It's going to be close.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I mean, the big thing I'm looking at this one is the quarterback matchup, Altmaier versus Aller. I think that's going to be as good of a Big Ten quarterback matchup as you could probably get right now.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be real interesting. Remember last year, Illinois, I think they beat Penn State in, what was it, 8 or 9 overtimes? Was that last year or the year before? So, Illinois is going to play them tough. Yeah, I can't believe this line just keeps jumping. I think it's up to 19.5. It opened at 17.5. Yeah, I don't know. We'll definitely see. Yeah, Penn State. Gosh, I hate saying this over and over again, but they're one of those teams too. They're a little more consistent than the other ones. But I mean, their game against Bowling Green in week 2 was a little bit suspect. They came out last week and dominated. But yeah, I'm still going to go Penn State in it. But like you guys are saying, it's going to be a lot closer than 3 touchdowns.
I think Altamar has been outperforming Aller on the year too a little bit. They're close. It's close though, closer than what you think.
Yeah, I think Illinois, man. So ultimately, I think the difference in this game is just in general, at least I perceive and what my numbers show is just a general quality difference. Like in terms of like if you just start lining up matchups, things match up really well for this to be a great like back and forth like one score game. Penn State's got a good defense that's better at stopping the run than at the pass, and then you got Illinois, who's almost entirely reliant on the passing attack, but they're good at it. But then they also have a pretty good pass defense, so things line up. Right now, I think there's just a little bit of a gap in quality and caliber. It's possible that's not there. It's possible that gap has closed, and it maybe this thing is closer. I did a little write up on this one. So let me see if there's anything else I didn't hit on. Illinois is really good at forcing teams into third down situations. So expect Penn State to have a couple third downs they have to manage. I think Penn State's going to be pretty good at managing those, though. I've got Penn State in this one. I think Penn State wins this one, and I'm pretty confident on that. What I'm not confident on is the score. Would you say the spread was? It's like 2 scores.
19.5.
Or 19.5? No, okay, never mind. All right, yeah. I've got it at 23.1, which I thought was high. I think maybe one thing that the question is how well can Illinois slow down Penn State too? Because I don't see Altmaier being able to score 5 passing touchdowns today. So if he has to do that because they can't get Penn State off the field, then this game could end up being a 21 point, 17 point game. So yeah.
All right. Let's see. Wazoo at Boise State. Boise State 6.5 favorite. I'm taking Boise State in this matchup. I don't respect Washington State's defense, and I think they're going to score a little bit, but I think Boise State's going to be too much for them to handle, especially with Fashion Jennings. I think Boise State could cover that spread too.
Yeah, I think. Let's see. Yeah, I agree on this one. I think Boise State wins it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think that. So the concern or the question. So okay, I think we kind of have an idea of what Boise State's going to do. I think Boise State's going to rely on the run. They're going to do a good job doing it. They don't count out their passing attack too. Their passing attack is under the radar because of what Jindy could do, but it's still there. On the other side of the ball, I think Washington State is a very explosive team, and I think they're going to make some big plays in this game. I think the question is, what are they going to do outside of those explosive plays? Are they going to have a? Is it going to be? It's very possible Washington State puts up a lot of points, but it's a bunch of 5-play drives where half of them they score, the other half are, 5 and outs basically. They get one first down and then have to punt. So I think there's going to be some points in this one. I think Boise State scores more points. But once again, the question is, when Washington State isn't making big plays, what are they doing? Are they going 3 and out, or are they still getting field goals or something? That'll determine if this game's closer and who wins it.
Yeah, I'm going Boise State as well. I wanted to take Washington State just because they've proved they can win close games. But yeah, you can't put any trust in their offense their defense to really stop anything. I'm sold on Ashton Jendi. I want to see a 200-yard game from him today. I want to see him jump up on your old Heisman list.
Yeah,
200 yards, 6 touchdowns.
Yep. All right, the big one.
That's the case. I'm definitely going Boise State.
The big one, Georgia, Alabama. Alabama is 1 point, right? 1 point favorite. Has that line moved all week, or?
Yeah, it opened at Georgia 2.5, I think.
No, not bad. Georgia might be a 1 point favorite, huh?
I know it flipped like late there. I think it was after they had Georgia is favored by 1 right now. It's gone back and forth all week.
Man, I can't wait for this game. I just want to watch. Like, this is gonna be some good football, dog. What, you about to see some good football in this one? 2 top 5 teams, early in the year,
and 2 top 5 quarterbacks. This is
the storyline of how Kirby can't beat Alabama. Nick Saban's gone. They got so much things you could talk about in this matchup. Both teams coming off a bye week, so you're about to have a really good game script plan, man. Like,
everyone rested, and
you could talk about so many things in this one, man. Man, Jalen Milroe versus Carson Beck, all the talent. Let's jump into this one, man.
All right, let's see. Let's break this one down multiple ways, because I think there's a lot to talk about here. So I was gonna say, let's kind of break this one into pieces, maybe. So let's start general opinions on Georgia. I'll start. Obviously, I think Georgia's one of the better teams. I've got a model. Actually, Alabama and Georgia are both number 1 in my model because it's based on win percentage expected, and they both have equal there. I think Georgia's a very balanced team, which I like about them. They're not overly dependent on anything. So if you slow down the passing game, they can rely on the run, and vice versa. And even same on defense, they can match you. If you're going to try to be aggressive passing, they'll counter with that. I think something that I noticed last year, and I think is carrying over a little bit this year, is, and it's not necessarily a bad thing per se, but Georgia's a little more reliant on kind of score stopping rather than creating negative plays. So I think that's fine, especially when you're that elite of a defense. It doesn't really make much of a difference which way you play. At the end of the day, you're stopping points either way. But I think that's just something to note on Georgia's defense there.
Man, they got a lot of people saying Carson Beck's. This is going to be a fraud alert on him today.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Now, Milroe.
Yeah, so what do y'all thought?
Man, Milroe. The thing about Milroe, he's really great in this system. I can make an argument that a lot of Alabama quarterbacks are great in that system. But what happens if he has to force throws in tight windows? That's one thing I'm going to be looking at. he relies on separation a lot, and he relies on his legs and speed. But what happens if he had key third downs here and there? That's one thing I'm looking at, and it's at Alabama. That's another thing that's going to be really tough. My brain probably says Alabama, but my heart says Georgia in this one. Don't hate me, Bus. Don't hate me, Bus. But
all business.
Don't hate me, Bus. Hey, I'm going with the dogs in this one, dog. I'm going with the dogs in this one. I think Georgia. They both strike me as really hungry teams too. Like I think this one's going to come down to the wire. But I think it's going to come down to Carson Beck if he can make if he can make some throws. We're going to see. Give me Georgia in this matchup. I think it could go either way though.
All right, well, I was gonna say. So I guess I talked about Georgia a little bit. So talking about Alabama. I think at the end of the day, the way Alabama plays, they rely on their passing attack. They rely on Milroe, and I think the pressure's on him to make something happen today. I think that
now if Milroe has a great day with his legs, that's going to be a kryptonite maybe for Georgia. If he's explosive and hitting them with some like a lot of pop plays, that's going to be dangerous to stop. They're going to have to contain Milroe, Georgia. That's another factor, containing Milroe. Bus, what you thinking?
Yeah, I don't think Kirby has a problem doing that. I think he's going to try and make Alabama beat them make them not let their strengths win the game for them. So I think they'll make us run the ball and try to get us into passing downs. So that way they can, roll the dice and throw whatever they want at us. The biggest thing I'm looking at is it always comes down to this a lot of times with this game is the line of scrimmage. Watching Georgia against Kentucky, their O-line, I don't know, they just don't seem as dominant as they have up front with that. So that's one thing I'm going to be watching. And then for Bama, kind of the same thing. The whole line's kind of been a flip of the coin a lot too. So really going to be looking at the line of scrimmage for both teams. Obviously, going to ride with my boys. It's kind of one of those games, and I know if we had Chris on here, he'd tell you that it's just one of those games where you kind of have that quiet confidence where you're like, yeah, it's a big game, but we said beat them 8 of the last 9 times. I know that has nothing to do with this game, but just going into it and having that little bit of confidence with it too, I think, it's always when you're on the other side of it, it's always in the back of your head. It's like, oh shit, here we go again.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, to me, I'm gonna go with the weak. I'm gonna go with Georgia's offense versus Alabama's defense right here. If Georgia could score some points, I do think Georgia has a better defense, and Alabama's defense is really really solid. So it's gonna come down to Carson Beck, man. Carson Beck, if he can win it.
I think one thing is that I've got Alabama's a little bit on that chaotic scale. Kind of like Arkansas is, but not nearly as far. And they're just being a higher caliber team. The negatives are less impactful. But they're a little bit on that, like, we're going to make some big plays, positive plays, and we're also going to have a couple negative plays. But also my model likes, but so I say that, but then the model really likes Alabama to kind of avoid some of those negative plays, at least sacks and tackles for losses. And it likes them to actually kind of create them a little bit more. So I think that'll be I think you talked about the line play, and that's always the case in these kind of games. And I think that's the answer. I think it's who gets in the backfield more, things like that. Ultimately, I think this game is a field position game.
Yeah.
You gotta take the points when you can, things like that. And I mean, it's kind of dumb to say this. This is it's like saying whoever scores more is going to win the game. But I think with the game will be decided when you cross the 40-yard line, when you're within 40 yards of the end zone. What happens in that area will decide the game.
Who you got, Boot? Who you picked?
Shit. I'm gonna go Bama in this one. Bama at home.
Man, everyone I talked to picked Bama. Yeah.
And a lot of people are saying Bama, and that's what makes me want to say Georgia. But then the Vegas line's Georgia, so it doesn't make me feel like I'm.
All week, everyone I talked to was Bama. The only person that told me Georgia was Chris.
Man, I think this one can go either way, though. There's just so much.
Okay, yeah. They just look at the talent level on both sides, man. They both two top 5 teams, man. It could go either way.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be an awesome game. I think there's a lot of great matchups to watch. We talked about a lot of them here. Yeah. I say, are there anything we didn't mention on this matchup? Any keys? I think the
you put the over under rushing yards for Milrow at 80.
You said 80?
Under. Way
under.
I would say at like 50, maybe.
Okay.
I don't see them. I don't see them letting him,
including sack yards. Definitely under 80 if you're including sack yards. Even 50 seems. What's he got so far this season? I know they hadn't played any great defenses. Like what's he averaging per game?
He's averaging 2 touchdowns on the ground per game. I know that.
He's at 156 yards on the year.
Okay, so
80, I'd go way under.
Yeah, way under. Yeah. Like I said, if we're including sack yards, like maybe 30.
If take away sack yards, he has 200. Looks like.
I was gonna say you at the same time, my model didn't like there to be a ton of sacks, so I don't know. But I think he's the.
He had 75 against Wisconsin, and he had 79 against Western Kentucky.
I kind of like that 75 against Wisconsin. No, I think definitely under 80 today. Like I said, especially if you include sack yards, I think he's kind of the wild card in this game.
Yeah, Milrose.
Like I said, they rely on Alabama relies on the passing the ball. They're a little bit chaotic, so you got to balance those positive plays with the negative plays, and he's the one that's going to make that happen. He has to avoid sacks, he has to avoid turnovers, and then say one. He might get a rushing touchdown or something because they're in a good field position, but I think he needs one key play, like 1 3rd and 8 scramble for a first down, or he breaks off a 25-yard run, something like that. He needs one key play on the ground, and then he needs to not make mistakes passing the ball.
Yeah. He reminds me of Bryce Young. Whenever Bryce Young was at Alabama, he's more explosive than Bryce Young, I would say. But Buzz, don't hate me. I just think it's the system that he's in, man. With Bama, yeah. That system is just so tough. Especially, it's a great college football system. Look at our boy. Look at our boy.
Oh, I don't got it. I'm gonna put it on as soon as we finish here. Okay. Any other last second thoughts or anything?
Man,
wait, real quick. We got to talk about this real quick.
What's that?
Unless I missed it earlier. Y'all talked about it earlier or something. Oklahoma at Auburn.
Auburn got it. They're going back to they're going back to the old quarterback, huh?
Yeah. So what's the first team to score an offensive touchdown wins the game? They just call it at that or something? I mean,
what about Oklahoma? Did they make a quick QB change, or are they sticking with their guns?
Yeah, Oklahoma's changing their quarterback.
Yeah. This is another one that flipped. Oklahoma opened at -3, and Auburn's favored now.
Yeah,
really?
At -1, yeah.
I would probably still lean Oklahoma. I don't love it. I would probably still lean Oklahoma, but man, they're both. Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, I've got my model says Oklahoma by 1, and one of the main reasons is turnovers. It likes Oklahoma to win the turnover margin, and that just being the difference in this game. But I mean, it's got as low scoring as it can get. I mean, basically as low scoring as I've seen from two teams. The model will show one team real low scoring if it's a blowout, but
man, I like Ryan Williams, bro, the wide receiver for Alabama. Yeah, you think he gets a deep? You think he gets a deep ball today? Well, Jalen Milroe got the best deep ball in college football.
I don't know that I've seen enough to agree with that statement, but he's got one of the better ones. I'd say that.
But I do like Malachi Starks. I do like Georgia's secondary. That's gonna be. I think that's a really fun matchup. Georgia's secondary versus Alabama's receivers. That's gonna be a fun one.
Sorry, I gotta go back to the Oklahoma Auburn.
Yeah,
You talked about chaos in this one. Oklahoma is ranked 3rd in turnover margin at +7. Auburn is ranked 132nd at -10.
Okay, and like I said, that's why the model likes Oklahoma to win because of the turnover margin.
Oh man,
there we go. That explains part of that there. Yeah, I mean,
everyone's talking about a lot of people's talking about the Georgia struggling against Kentucky thing. It's just
non-factor.
That's not gonna be a factor at all, man. Especially with the bye week, man.
Right.
I think there's a fun discussion to be had that maybe we could do on like a Tuesday show one day of like what do you take away from early season games? Like, whenever you look at, I mean, Georgia struggling against Kentucky or even, positives like, you look at Kansas State, destroyed Arizona in a game that was supposed to be close. Like what do you draw your takeaways from? But that'd be a fun like Tuesday discussion, especially with a guest that might know a little more on that too. But okay, cool. We got anything else?
Yeah, man, I'm ready for some games today.
Okay, let's go. It's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, let's wrap it up, man.
All right, I'll have a good one.
Good luck, Bus.
Good luck, Bus. Field season. I appreciate it.
Hey, man, LSU's defense versus South Alabama's offense, bro. Hey, South Alabama scored like 116 points last 2 games.
Well, they scored 87 in one game.
Yeah,
it was Northwestern State.
Blake Baker, bro. I'm gonna see what Blake Baker got tonight. We're gonna see, bro.
All right, boys. Have a good one. We'll catch you later.
All right. See y'all.